My name is Amy Christina Herbert. I graduated from the College of Dental Medicine in 2012. Okay, so I went to Columbia for undergrad as well, and I graduated with a degree in Spanish language and literature. So I went to Columbia College for undergrad, so I've been at Columbia University for a little while now, and I got a degree in Spanish language and literature with concentration in classical music. I played the piano. And I graduated from undergrad, went straight into a master's program, and I have a master's of fine arts, also from Columbia, in classical theater. So I was a classically trained actress before dental school. And so for steady work, I was a professor, adjunct at CUNY. So I taught at Hunter College, I taught theater theory, and I taught public speaking at Borough of Manhattan Community College. And that was pretty convenient because in my off time I could do plays, or I could take a semester off and I would do theater. And I'd been doing this for a while, and I remember being on stage at the American Shakespeare Center and thinking to myself, you know, I kind of want to add something else. I honestly felt like I want to add something else. I like teaching, but I want to teach something that's a little bit more, that's different than theater. I wanted to do theater and I wanted to teach, but I wanted to teach something else. And I come from a medical family, so I kind of ended up drawing from the pool. So I was at an alumni event for the college, and I met a dentist, Dr. Thompson, and he graduated, I can't remember, he graduated in the early 60s, I want to say, but he recognized my last name, and he said, "Herbert, I know your name." And I said, "Perhaps you know my father." My father went to undergrad at Columbia and to the College of Physicians and Surgeons, so he went to PNS. He is an anesthesiologist. So he graduated from the medical school in '73, and he was still working. And I said, "Well, maybe you know my father." And he said, "No." And he said, "Benny S. Herbert." And I said, "That's my grandfather." He said, "Your grandfather coached a track meet for me when I was in high school." And I remember thinking, he does the job that I want to do. I said, "How do you remember that?" My grandfather graduated from Columbia College in 1932, and then he graduated from the dental school in 1936. And he was an Army doctor, Army dentist. He was in World War II, and then he came back and he would do some coaching, and he's from Jersey, which is not too far away. And so I said, I've been thinking about going back to school. I still have an interest in science. I still am interested in dentistry. And he said, "Well, you should try it. It's something that you could do if you wanted to keep acting." And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You could combine the two. You could do dentistry, you could do acting." And I thought, yeah, I really like the sound of that, but I didn't have any prereqs. So I had to go back to school and get all my prereqs, because I didn't take chemistry, I didn't take organic, I didn't take physics, and so I did all of that. And I then applied to the dental school, and I got in, and I thought, okay, 4 years, I'm gonna be a dentist. And then about 2 years in, I was like, okay, I still like it. I still like the science. I still like the education, because I'm a big nerd at heart. And then I got into clinic, and I was like, okay, I like clinic. I thought I'd be a little bit more interested in aesthetics and pros, because I'd come from the world of acting, where it's like all about how you look. And it turned out that that wasn't what I was interested in. I was interested in managing patients and disease control, and I think that's what really drew me to pediatric dentistry. And so when I graduated from dental school in 2012, I started a pediatric dentistry residency, and so that's what I do now. I'm actually on faculty at another dental school, and I teach. Okay, so I started we start in pre-clinic, and we learn the different specialties, and when we started in clinic, I found myself drawn to pediatric dentistry, I think because it maintained a certain level of medical knowledge. You needed to think about development and about social behavior in a very clear way, and I think that that's kind of what drew me to that. I also have a very strong public health leaning, and pediatric dentistry is one of the specialties I think that it takes particular interest in public health, because it is such a dental caries and the oral health of children is in like a state of crisis in our country right now. And Dr. Lal, who was our pre-doc director, I guess, and he was great, honestly. And I really enjoyed his class. I really enjoyed his pre-clinic. I enjoyed his method, the way he taught us to think about the patients and not just about the dentistry. And I think that that's kind of an overwhelming Columbia attitude. And that's part of why I really wanted this program part of why I liked Columbia is a lot of the reason why people don't, which is how many medical classes we have to take. And I loved it. I loved learning all about that. And I think that that's what drew me to specialize in the first place, liking that kind of thing. And pediatric dentistry, I'm really, everybody loves kids. Everybody's like, oh, I love kids, they're so great. And they are, I love kids, and they're so great. But they don't listen to everybody. And I feel like I'm pretty good at managing them, and I'm pretty good at managing parents, which is an entirely different conversation. When I started at Columbia in 2008, I guess was my first year, I really liked the number of medical classes that we had to take. I really enjoyed being in the classroom with the med students, and I think that's very beneficial, particularly if you're going to specialize. I also think that learning that much science and in depth allowed me to feel confident when I chose my specialty, which was pediatric dentistry. I liked pediatric dentistry because you need a lot of medical knowledge to work with these kids. You're working with special needs kids, you're working with syndromic kids, you go to the OR, you need to understand pharm, and I think that going to Columbia Dental School in particular gave me a very strong background in that. Well, another really great thing about pediatric dentistry is that if you have a strong public health leaning like I do, my father was in the public health, my uncle, my grandfather, it's a good way to access that population. Children are in a state of crisis as far as their oral health is concerned, and pediatric dentistry is a way to access those populations and create care for them, give them roads to care that they otherwise wouldn't have. Okay, so I remember thinking that I really enjoyed teaching because I was teaching theater, but I didn't want to teach theater. I wanted to be part of education, but I wanted to have something on the opposite end of the spectrum. And since I did come from a medical family, that's tended to be where I looked. And dentistry was a really good fit, particularly because it's a little bit more finite as far as education is concerned when you are an older student. Medicine is a little bit more, you might be in school forever. Dentistry, not so much. But so I decided that dentistry would be a good fit for me, and I then had to go back and take all my prereqs because I didn't take any undergraduate science classes. And so I was like starting all over again. So that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, when I first applied to colleges out of high school, Columbia was the only school I considered seriously that was in the northern region of the country. And I ended up there because I thought I wanted to do theater, I wanted to do arts, and I wanted to be in a cultural center that would have all of that. And so I also thought to myself, what do I want to learn when I'm an undergrad? And I talked to my dad, who's a physician. He said, study whatever you want to study. You only need 5 classes to apply to med school. You only need 5 classes to apply to dental school. You can major in anything. This is the only time you're going to have to learn just things that you otherwise wouldn't have any exposure to. And that was beneficial for me, I think, because I got to live in Spain for a year. I didn't have to worry about getting off course with my science classes, and I got to learn a lot. Now I'm bilingual in Spanish now, and that helps me with pediatric dentistry every single day. And so that led me to just kind of study what I wanted to study. And then when I told my parents I wanted to be an actress, they said, well, you need to go to grad school for that because we're not going to have you running the streets just trying to be an actress. I said, okay. So I applied to the 2 programs that I knew the most, I was most familiar with, which was Columbia and NYU. And I got into Columbia first, actually, so I ended up going there. When I did my post-bac classes, I lived in the neighborhood, so I wanted to pick something that was convenient. I also wanted to pick pre-medical classes that I knew would give me a very, very strong foundation. And I know that Columbia's pre-medical program is very, very strong. And so at that point, in the post-bac program at Columbia, they kind of connect you to different dental schools or med schools depending on where you want to apply. And I connected with Columbia's dental school, which originally had you taking a lag year where you had to apply. And I said, Columbia Dental School, please, I'm already old, don't make me take a lag year. And they said, well, let's see how you do in your classes. And I said, I'm doing awesome in my classes, don't make me take a lag year. And so they allowed me to apply without the lag year. And as a result, the students who applied after me don't have to take a lag year anymore, which I think is kind of cool.